Hey, Jim Ventura here. Happy holiday season to everybody. We have Thanksgiving and Christmas ahead, and of course New Year's, so it's a big holiday time. Normally for my column, and this is going to be a live read of the column today, I often do one of a couple of different Christmas stories for this period. But I decided to kind of rerun a piece I had done way back about Thanksgiving and gratitude and focus on that primarily for the season. So I remember I had to dig around for a column I wrote some years back, only to find out that the column was written back in 2011, which is wild. That's 12 years ago. I was in my 40s still. And so I kind of did a rewrite of that. It was an interesting thing to look at, and that's what I'm going to read and talk a little bit about today. And the piece is called Gratitude and Thanksgiving. Let me get my added eyes on here. Beauty of the 50s. Again, gratitude and Thanksgiving. This column is a partial repeat of a story that I wrote back in 2011. 12 years later, I still have to remind myself to remember the benefits of focusing on gratitude and how many things I truly have to be grateful about. In a notable way, while I still get frustrated, it seems my 50s self versus the me of my 40s tends to be far less irritable. In many ways, my perspectives have shifted. The practical details of life, like cars, appliances, and many of the things we tend to collect in life that inevitably break down and are often ridiculously expensive to repair, have not changed. Things wear out and break. The endless details of marketing connected with having my own business, while having new interesting elements to them, are still at times very time-consuming. The at times unreliability of regular clients that I feel I have to chase down sometimes, like a personal trainer being in a position to have to push his clients to work out for their own good, along with no-shows, unanswered emails, getting too far behind in payments, while tiring, have really neither decreased or increased. The overly busy weeks followed by painfully slow business weeks are still about the same. What fortunately shifted in my 50s was how I look at all of these things. I now truly understand what the positive pole of Capricorn actually means. And that positive pole is I use. It's understanding the wisdom of how problems can propel us towards solutions or make us stronger versus irritation and complaining or going to the extremes of feeling like a martyr. In some ways, with each new decade, it can bring us added gifts of new perspectives and vision. While our outer eyesight may require assistance like reading glasses, I'm still lucky enough to only need dollar store readers, thankfully. Other aspects of vision can potentially expand. I used to lean far more to the left politically in my younger years, but years of observing the same nonsense and manipulation that at times can be part of the left ideologies has moved me closer to the center. Rather than the often common swing used to resolve the discomfort by moving to the far right and simply switching to the flip side of crazy, it has become more clear that both sides, turn the page here, both sides have some wisdom and both sides at times are bordering on insane. Sitting in the center and being more of an independent feels far more comfortable to me. The independent struggles, the repeated struggles with inconsistency in my business and with a few unreliable clients at part has led me to decide to focus on new forms of income, like writing another book. In fact, I not only finished another new book, but now part of the way through two more. Allowing the natural mutability of my sun sign to expand into new ways of making an income from book sales, public speaking, and online classes and events was a perfect solution. And while some of these things are still in the works, I have no doubt that in a short period of time I will be successful. In fact, just the willingness to move in these new directions alone feels like a victory. Another important aspect of wisdom arose from dealing with a few painful rounds of kidney stones a few years ago. I was in no way hit with all of them at once, but I also had to deal with diverticulitis and a brutal round with sciatic nerve damage. I put my studies of alternate medicine, trigger points, yoga, healthier diet, and healing foods to the test. More importantly, I was willing to get in touch with the root of the emotional and limited belief patterns that were creating the illnesses. Pushing stones through on my own, the tremendous pain of diverticulitis and trying to get out of bed with debilitating back pain was not fun, and even at times terrifying. I resisted the usual agreed societal solution to take pain blockers or to use Western medicine to resolve, or more often, mask problems. This commitment was really putting my money where my mouth was. All the methods I'd studied for years turned out to be not only real in theory, but actually worked. I'm free of all of these ailments and out quite healthy from at my age. Well, at times a scary process, afterward it left me feeling like a fearless badass who can tackle anything that comes along. I used the difficulties. A real example of this was applying this new knowledge and experience during the COVID years, where the fear of what if it gets me, or if I give it to my loved ones, etc., was debilitating, even terrifying motivation for many people all over the world. I stood back from all the theatrics about going out or staying in, wearing masks or not, wearing them, the extremes of whether to inject pharmaceuticals into your body or not, or how many people could be on an elevator, etc. I walked through an understandably difficult time for many dispassionately. I really did understand why it brought so much fear, and I do not judge those who got pulled in. My studies of how and why we experience illness for over more than 3 decades were, of course, extremely helpful. The majority of the population has little or no understanding of the many layers of how illness comes to us. I knew without the slightest doubt, well, honestly, I did about 2 weeks of mild fear that dried up fairly quickly early on, that if I got this illness, I knew exactly what to do to push it through and heal. It became increasingly clear, while not all of it was nonsense, that the suggestions by the media and the loudest and strongest voices, like washing your hands by singing happy birthday, staying away from everyone, stranger danger, and not going outside, etc., were mostly gibberish. We had an opportunity as a society to start a conversation with people about preventive medicine and healthy, practical homeopathic methods for healing, and of course, we ignored this. The only fallout for me was, sadly, a few friends and family that cut me out of their lives, many after knowing me for many years, who decided to put me in the Jim is reckless and dangerous camp. I used this to my advantage as well. Being around people who live in such extremes of fear and questioning my character is not healthy for me. So while the losses did hurt, it was inevitably a good thing. I used the cruel treatment. Perhaps one of the greatest accomplishments that I'm grateful for at this point is being relaxed about my lifelong, seemingly essential quest to find the right mate. I'm currently single, and while I remain open to something amazing if it comes along, I am truly comfortable alone. If a partnership of value is in the cards, it will be far better than past relationships, because the mere reflection of that individual will be someone who is also open but comfortable with themselves. If I spend the remainder of my time in this life, probably anywhere from 2, 3, or 4 more decades, as a single man, I can honestly say I'm truly cool with that. The sense that success in life must be connected to finding the right mate is something I'm neutral about, and that feels really good. Thanksgiving is nearly here. It's one of my favorite holidays. I get to indulge. This makes a Taurian ascendant part of me happy for a day or two, and then go back to sensible eating patterns. Well, honestly, maybe more than a few days for overeating. While many of us have difficulties in the past, maybe still in the present, we can still find things to be grateful for in our lives. A gratitude journal is very useful for this purpose. While it may seem difficult to remember to consistently write in it, like all potentially good or not so good things, we eventually become addicted to it. It's one addiction that is seriously good for us. Well, some of the conditions around the original Thanksgiving, pilgrims and Indian stuff, were questionable to say the least. The idea behind it is still solid. Gratitude and a healthy giving ratio are necessities for staying balanced. Healing requires committing to resolving and finding what isn't working, not just endlessly thinking about how someday I'm going to finally take care of this, or this is my lot in life and there's no changing it. Shifting our focus toward what is positive and what we are grateful for moves us to a place where we inevitably create more things to be thankful and grateful for. Okay, so again, I wrote this column like literally 12 years ago around the same time. And it was interesting because, again, I can see the very clear shift between my 40s self and my 50s self. The only repeated thing is sometimes getting annoyed about clients and inefficiency and some of the stuff I deal with. But I think that that's really connected with anyone with their own business. I mean, it's just reality. People can be flaky, and now ghosting is a thing that I'll never will fully understand, but it's more common. So it was just, again, I used it to move me in a more positive direction. So, I really do have a lot of things to be grateful for, and that's what I focus on. And I kind of got my gratitude journal out, and I do suggest it to people, even if it's just that you get up in the morning and think about the things you're grateful for, or go to bed and think of 5 things or so that you're grateful for. I'm telling you, it'll shift the game, and it's worth shifting. So something to consider. And no matter how difficult things are, there's always things we have to be grateful for. And I think that's just really important for us to remember and focus on. So, all right, quick little side note here. This is my holiday promotional special. So if you're interested in a personal session, either in office or by phone or FaceTime Zoom, I have a great promotional discount from $10 to $75 off, anywhere between 1 and 3 sessions. So you can buy yourself a few sessions to use in the coming year, or buy gift certificates for friends and family this way, and they're quite nicely discounted for all sessions at this time. So that's available. Find that information out on my website, or just email me at venturasag@yahoo.com, and I can send you info about that as well. So happy holiday season to everyone. I'm happy to be wearing, I'm still wearing sort of summer fall clothes because it was like 88 today, but in the evenings it goes down to 50s in Phoenix. So wonderful time of year. Happy holiday season to everyone. Until next time, cheers.